Hello, and welcome everyone. If you're watching this video, you missed week 5, day 1 of our computer science principles class. Let's go ahead and get to it. We talked about lossy compression today, different from lossless, which is what we covered last time, and digital copyright. Now, Journal 1, it was my intention for it to be due tonight at midnight, but someone brought it up that I actually messed up on the due date and made it next week and Wednesday. So I will honor that since that's what I placed in the due date. So you have until next week to do it, but there's going to be another journal assignment coming up. So maybe don't wait and have twice as much to do. Maybe go ahead and fill it out tonight, and then you don't have to do as much for next week. 01-11-01, which is the assignment that we started on today, is going to be due tomorrow, Thursday the 1st, by midnight. Our objectives are that you can identify lossy compression and contrast it with lossless and tell me why you would use one over the other. And you can explain the purpose of copyright and potential issues that arise from it. Let's go ahead and get started. So our first order of business here was to take a look at this widget. You guys can check it out on your own. Essentially, it just takes out vowels from any text you put in. And it turns out that the human eye is pretty good at still reading the kind of message. So even if I remove all the vowels, I can still read the text. But notice the compression rate is not amazing. We could probably do better if we applied our heuristics, right? And also it makes the text ugly. So this is something called lossy compression, where we physically throw out some piece of text and it's irretrievably lost. Now, it's not the greatest idea to use this with text because, well, as you can see, you get kind of poopy results. So what do we use it with instead, you might ask? Well, we're going to use it with images. So in code.org, there's a widget you can play with in lesson 10, bubble 2. You can slide a little slider and it'll make the image blurrier, but it will compress it. It'll tell you the sample size, the original size of the image, and what the new size is. The way it does this is by taking a sampling size and averaging all the pixels around that sampling size into one large pixel. Now, obviously, you're going to lose a lot of definition doing this. And you might say, well, why would I do this? Can't I do it some lossless way that would be nicer and make the picture look really good? Yes, you can, and certain file formats do that. For instance, PNG is lossless, while JPEG does a very similar thing to this and is lossy. So why lossy? Well, look at this compression gain. It's incredible. We started with 201,000, and we're all the way down to 3,000. Now, obviously, this is a bit extreme. We wouldn't want to make our image this blurry and compress this much, but even with a little bit of compression, making the image slightly blurrier, you can save a whole lot of space. So lossy compression is going to save you more space than lossless, but you will lose definition in the process. So then the question becomes, in what situations do we use which kind of compression? Well, if you're sending a text message to a friend, you don't super care if it's the nicest image in the world. As long as they can see what you're trying to get them to see, maybe it's okay if it's not the most well-defined. So you might go with 2 or 3 here, something a little bit compressed, or a little bit, or a little more compressed, medium amount of compression. You probably don't want to send them this blocky mess, and you probably don't care to send them the nicest image ever and spend all of your hard-earned data. Now, let's say you're a photographer at a crime scene. Now, everything is super important. You want to be able to see as clearly as possible. So, number one, we wouldn't spare any expense, right? We don't care if it takes a little more space. So, it's all about context and knowing when to use what kind of compression. We watched this short video. I highly recommend you check that out on your own, as well as this one, which describes how LZW, actual compression that's used in the real world, works, what kind of algorithm is applied, and how it allows you to shorten something drastically. All right, so lossy compression throws stuff out, and the best time to use it is if you can remove a little bit of detail without compromising the integrity of the image, and maybe it being a little bit less in quality doesn't matter too much to you. Next, we're going to talk about intellectual property. So there's an article for you guys to read. It is on Mine CPS under Modules inside week 5, which is, of course, this week. And it is posted right here inside our assignment, 01-11-01. So if you guys go ahead and open up that assignment, let's take a look at what the article entails. Let me open you. Thank you. So this is a short excerpt from the Washington Post about Fortnite, popular video game, stealing a rapper's dance move. And you might say, well, is that copyrighted? And that's the discussion. So I'll let you guys come to your own conclusions. Read this through. This is really fascinating. We talked about it in class. You can miss out on that. And then underneath, there are some questions for you to answer. All right. So copyright. What kind of policies do we have? We have all sorts of protections, and some people say go too far, and some people don't say they don't go far enough. So there's a couple of videos for you guys to check out here. I won't belabor you with them by playing them through this. That makes no sense. Please check out the videos on your own. They are a good recap of what copyright is and how it works, as well as what copyright isn't. So what is Creative Commons, for instance, and how does it contrast with copyright? Or what is free to use, and how is that different from Creative Commons? All of that is covered in these videos. All right, so that is where we will leave off today. Please email me if you have any questions. I hope you guys are having a good one.